Hi, welcome everybody. So glad you are here for another part in our scam, fraud, and exploitation series. We have today another wonderful speaker, so excited about that. For those of you who may not be familiar with Friends for Life, I would love to be able to visit with you a little bit about Friends for Life afterwards. I do have some information on the table about the 7 different programs that we have. My name is Christine Schrader-Morin. I am the Lifelines Program Director for Friends for Life. Lifelines is actually the newest program that we have at Friends for Life of the 7 existing programs. So I provide care consultations and information referral, case management. We're actually integrating scam, fraud, and exploitation services within my role. So putting together this educational series has been a big learning experience for me as well, so that I can go forward and help people better. So that is a little bit about Lifelines. Also, I do public speaking myself, and I love putting together educational events like this in the community to get information to people that really need it. So that's a little bit about Lifeline. Thank you for taking time out of your day and being with us here today. We're going to keep this really casual. We have some refreshments, water, and some snacks, and a door prize provided by Right at Home Home Care. So we appreciate them doing that for every class, and MCC for letting us use this wonderful facility at no charge and helping us promote these classes. So we have another great speaker again here tonight, and I'm going to actually read some of my notes. Oh, before that, I was going to just actually set this up for everybody and say, I know that the National Center on Elder Abuse talks about, and I've said this before in some of the other classes, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's so important. Isolation and loneliness, they consider well-established predictors of maltreatment and risk factors for abuse. So I think we're all at risk of falling victim of some type of scam or fraud, but certainly our elderly and persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities, those folks even more so. So if we can be so easily taken advantage of, think how much more easily a target that they would be for folks. So, so that was part of my drive in putting this together and trying to help people navigate that and prevent that. So I do want you to just be aware that all of the different programs that we do have at Friends for Life do help to combat isolation and loneliness at some level, in some way, because that is such a, I think, an important factor in a lot of emotional and physical problems that people develop if they're experiencing chronic isolation and loneliness. So again, I have information. We can talk some more about that later. Now I want to introduce taking the fear out of cryptocurrency. This is Detective Michael Sine. He is, I found an interesting statistic when I was researching what he's going to talk about, because I know nothing about this. The Federal Trade Commission said the most reported crime related to crypto was investments. It was 71%, up 45% from 2023. So it also indicated there is a rise in Bitcoin ATM defrauding customers, and that the majority of victims are elder, and scams are most successful when markets are going up. So I thought that was some really interesting information for somebody who knows very little about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, although I will become very educated here very shortly. Detective Sine is actually with the McLennan County Sheriff's Department. He has been a Texas peace officer for about 9 years or so. He also served as a security forces response leader, as well as several other roles with the Air Force here in the United States, of course. And thank you for your service, by the way. He also, after leaving the military, he began working in the jail, the courthouse, patrol, and then McLennan County SWAT. So he's got lots of experience. Also, Investigator Sine has his master jailers and peace officer licenses, basic, taser, and I don't even know what this is, TEEXEVOC, sounds really official, instructor certifications. So, yeah,
Those are driving instructor certifications.
Oh, see, we're going to learn a lot. So, yeah, this young man has accomplished a lot in his lifetime already. So since he began his career with the Sheriff's Department, he's been involved in over 750 criminal investigations. So have really enjoyed some conversations down at the Sheriff's Department with him and excited to learn more. Take the fear out of crypto for us.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all the viewers. I want to thank everybody that's present for coming here and learning about cryptocurrency and how it's affecting McLennan County. I can tell you this, that in the past 2 years, right, we have had numerous victims totaling over $400,000 that have lost due to just crypto scam related investigations. Just so far this year, I've investigated over 100 investigations, and a good majority of them have led into cryptocurrency. So suspects are stealing the money through other means, converting them to cryptocurrency, and sending them to other suspects, kind of like money mules. But to kind of touch on my background, right, once again, I originally started law enforcement in November 2007 in the Air Force. I was born and raised in a small town north of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. Went out to Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico when I joined the military, and there I did primarily nuclear security for the 6 years I was there. After getting out, I converted into civilian law enforcement, worked for a small city, a small village just south of Albuquerque, New Mexico, until I transferred my certification here to Texas. Ever since I've been in Texas, I've been working for the Sheriff's Office, starting out the jail, moving to the patrol division, was in the patrol division for a couple months before going to the courthouse to help out, just because we had some manpower issues, and then went back to patrol until November of last year. And I've been in CID, our Criminal Investigative Division, ever since. I do specialize in fraud and financial, so anything that's got numbers, Excel spreadsheets, you name it, I'm the person that investigates it. What got me into cryptocurrency was, we see this large number of uptick in cryptocurrency cases, right? 2022, we only had like 10 or 15 cases. 23, we had double that. And in 24, we're already well over 30 just crypto cases. I'm not alone, right? There's another investigator that helps me out with some of these cases. He more helps me out along with the fraud and financial part. I mainly do a lot of the crypto stuff. Since working in CID, I'm also a sworn task force officer with the Secret Service. So anything that we don't have the tools that we need at the Sheriff's Office, that's when I could reach out to my Secret Service counterparts and really kind of put some muscle into these investigations. I've also established really good communications with also the U.S. Marshals and the FBI. So any resources that we ever need for an investigation, I have avenues to reach out to every single one of those. But let's get into cryptocurrency. My intent with this whole class, with this whole session, is to take the fear out of it. Not everything crypto is illegal, right? There's actually legitimate financial benefits of dealing with cryptocurrency. I'm not here to completely steer you away from cryptocurrency. I just want to educate you to make sure that you make good decisions if you plan on getting into it. All right, but to kick off, what is cryptocurrency? So cryptocurrency is digital currency. You don't touch it with your fingers, right? There is no money that you actually hold in your hand, right? Okay, it's all on the computer network, all right? What some people like about it is not relying on a central authority, right? So the government doesn't control it, financial institutions don't control it. It is purely just the computer network that controls the cryptocurrency. Okay, it is recorded. Everything in a financial investigation, including crypto, there's a paper trail, right? Everything is stored. All the records are stored in a digital ledger on the internet that is completely open to the public. Everybody can see the transactions. Not everybody can see your information in the transactions and see what digital wallets you control, so your information is still protected. It's just everybody could see all your money transfers. Okay. So this network, right, is made of thousands of computers across the entire world, and what this computer network does to authenticate these transactions, right, is these computer networks mine digital currency using complex mathematical equations to verify senders and receivers to authenticate those transactions. Right, this is where our normal financial institutions that we see on a daily basis, that we deal with, we're dealing with all of our banks, right? That is based on a trust aspect. It can be manipulated through fake IDs and things of that nature. Okay, you control that wallet, right? When you send money, this computer network verifies that you have the money and that you're sending it to somebody that can receive it. All right, it's all verified. It's not based on a trust thing, right? It's just like me and you. I'm handing you cash. Okay, it's not like, I'm handing it to the bank and the bank has to get it to you and things of that nature. Okay, it's straight hand to hand. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And everybody else may know the answer to this, but so I banked at a local bank that was a small bank, right? He sold to a larger bank, it was Bancorp, he sold to, and then they sold to Cadence. Within a couple of years, I received letters from them offering identity protection, because they considered the data breach.
Mm-hmm.
Then our healthcare system, at work, our insurance, I just received a letter a few weeks ago saying that they had a breach.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so they're offering some protection. So what I'm asking then is, so we think about some of these scammers and fraudsters and these people that are doing this, if they're breaching systems that are on the internet now with regards to banking and things like that, how is that so much safer if you're using a digital ledger on the internet?
So this is the thing. So when you establish a digital wallet, right, you create that digital wallet based on something only you can control. Nobody else can control it unless you give someone the access to control it. Okay. Now we're going to touch a little bit as far as like how some of these scams, how some of these perpetrators persuade and coerce victims into sending money and giving them access, right? But so like right now, if I have a web browser, I could create 30 digital wallets like this in like 5 seconds. All right, but I'm the only one that can access it because there is a 12 to 24 keyword phrase that only I know. If I give that out, it's like me just walking up and giving you my wallet that's full of cash. Okay, they can access it, they could disappear with it. Okay, that's why it's so important that when you establish your infrastructure, right, establish your digital wallets, that you safeguard your 12 to 24 key phrase, which is essentially random words in the English language, right, that you have to put in a specific order. Now, if you lose it, that also means you lose all of the digital currency you already had in that wallet. All right, so it's very, very sensitive material. All right, I even know suspect, like I have a case right now where I'm pretty sure the suspect lost his key phrase because the money can't go anywhere. The money has been sitting in the same account for 6 months. I'm like, somebody messed up. The only problem is I can't access it. My victim can't access it because the only person that had that key phrase is the suspect, and he lost it. So that's $12,000, give or take, worth of Bitcoin that's just floating in the internet. But that's what's so important about safeguarding your stuff, and not relying on, so like those companies, right? That's cryptocurrency kind of alleviates that, where it's completely on you. You're not relying on the company to secure your information. You're relying on yourself to secure your information, as in your 12 to 24 key phrase and your digital wallets.
So is it a difference between a wallet first? Because I've heard
Now we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to a little bit. I think a much better comparison is, you have a purse, right? That's a single description of an item, right? There's a variety of different types of purses, right? We're gonna talk about how there's thousands of different types of cryptocurrency that you can invest in, and some are based on, just the US dollar amount, and some are based more on like a stock market where there's a value that increases and decreases based on the market and the raw Bitcoin that's available. So now we're going to get into, there's thousands, there's different types of cryptocurrency. These are the three most common, right? You got Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tether. Okay, and you can see these money amounts. I'm not sure if you can see very well on the screen, right? The market caps out at 1.28 trillion, that's with a T, all right, in the US dollar. All right, Ethereum maxes out at 317 billion, and then Tether, the market cap is at 119 million. All right, there's a lot of money going through cryptocurrency. And there's a reason why there's a lot of money going through cryptocurrency, because our market and everything is evolving, right? It's much cheaper to convert it to crypto and then do a wire transfer to another company, because wire transfers are usually based on the amount that you're trying to transfer, right? It's not the case with this. So we're going to talk primarily about Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the most popular one, and I can tell you that is the most seen cryptocurrency that I've seen in any criminal investigation. All right, like I said, it is the most common. All right, it was authored in the early 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. Sorry. All right, he's the one that has really kind of brought Bitcoin to the radar. In the very beginning, one Bitcoin was less than 10 cents, right? This is 2009. It was worth less than 10 cents. As of, now 11 days ago, right, it was $61,363 per Bitcoin. So if you invested into Bitcoin in 2009, yeah, you're very, very comfortable by now. Once again, it is going to be the most popular currency that I see in my investigations. I have seen some Ethereum, but for the most part, it's Bitcoin that I see almost everything. Yeah, he's doing well for himself. So recognizing the scam, that's kind of the biggest thing. All right, not as much in your millennial or Generation Z type of citizens. I normally see victims that are Generation X and baby boomers. All right, just because they're not as technically sound as some of our younger generations. These are the four most common that I see in my investigations, right? They're ransomware, tech support scams, personal impersonation scams, and then government impersonation. And I'm going to break every single one down for you a little bit more, and kind of like the process that they do to coerce, our victims into sending money. Ransomware, it's first and foremost, right? The perpetrator sends an email or text message with a disguised link for the victim to click on. Okay, when you click on that link, it's sending you someplace that the suspect has control of. All right, and that could even include remoting into your computer, that's what ransomware does, right? They access your computer. Typically, they'll install some sort of virus that locks your computer. All right, once your computer's locked, they keep it locked until you meet their demands. All right, in my cases, most of the time, the suspects will demand the victim to send as much money as possible to the perpetrator through a cryptocurrency ATM, which is a Bitcoin ATM. Essentially, it's like a regular ATM like you see at your banks and your gas stations and things of that nature, except this is one that you deposit money into, it converts it to Bitcoin, and then it gets sent off. The suspects will typically have you send the money straight into a wallet that only they control, not one that you can control. Okay? So once you send that money to them, that money is in the internet, and who knows where it's going. I have a case study up here that I brought with me. It is a closed case. It's no longer active. I could kind of walk you through how I worked that case, and found, like, I got a picture of the suspect sitting in his house. All right, tech support scams, right? If anybody has seen the movie Beekeeper, it's very popular. I really like that movie. That's where you see this, right? Where you'll see some sort of... Yes, certainly, please. So she's going to be handing a form out that kind of talks about tech support. It's from the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. I just got some basic information about tech support scams. So tech support is typically, you'll have some sort of virus that gets put into your computer, and it notifies you that they've observed some suspicious activity on your computer, and they give you a phone number in the pop-up that has you call. Right, you call that number, it connects you directly to the suspect. Right, they will typically gain the perpetrator will gain the victim's trust, and that's what they allow them to access your computer. You allow them to remote into your computer. So if you've seen the movie Beekeeper, that malware pops up, call this number. She calls the number to say, hey, you just need a software update, download this, pay $100, and they remote into her computer, right? Once they access your computer, they can see what banks you bank with. They will even have pop-up screens that will pop up showing what you think is your account, but it really isn't, right? And they'll use all that stuff as bait to try to get you to do something. Sometimes they will even turn around and say, hey, we've observed some embarrassing or illegal material on your computer, right? We've seen child porn on your computer, right? We want to help you out before the FBI finds out about it. So send us however much money and we'll remove that off of your computer. But that's never the case. All right. If they say they've observed child porn on your computer, they didn't. That's just a piece of bait that they're trying to get you. All right. And once again, they persuade the victim to send the money so the proper authorities, law enforcement, doesn't get notified. Personal impersonation scams, right? These are your Facebook notifications from people that you think are your friends, but they're really fake Facebook accounts. You'll even see a couple mutual friends on there, but this is a person posing as a friend of yours or a mutual friend that wants to get you into some sort of new currency investment. And with that, the perpetrator will typically persuade the victim to open a crypto account and deposit the funds into a digital wallet only the perpetrator controls, right? So we're going back into that. They'll have you take a picture of a QR code, be like, okay, send it to this, that's your digital wallet. They click on it, they send money to that digital wallet, money's gone. Government impersonation, this is the one that I'm seeing very, very commonly. This is where people are posing, they'll call you posing as a law enforcement officer or even a federal agent saying, hey, you have a warrant for your arrest, you didn't make it to jury duty, pay a fine or the bond, and it'll be taken care of. I can tell you this, a government agency, there's no government agency that does cryptocurrency to collect fines or bonds. Not one, not even Cash App, none of that, right? So if you get a phone call and they tell you to do this, yeah, it is bogus, it's fraudulent. And this is another one I'll typically see victims send money in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency ATMs, or they'll send pictures of gift cards. Right, the suspects don't need the physical card, they just need the card on the information to use it, right? So if you go out and get an Apple gift card and you send pictures of somebody, they're going to go and use that and take those funds from you. Which all this is traceable, by the way. Like even the gift card ATMs, I could trace those. So this is what
If it goes to crypto, then it's not, there's nothing getting it back, though, right?
Yeah, not necessarily, right? There is avenues that we can try to get money back, but the circumstances just have to be right for us to be able to pull it off. Yes. It's, like I said, depending on the circumstances. The moment that the money has left the country, I have not had a case where I was successful yet. And even from there is some things that the FBI is doing to kind of get some more cooperation from other countries, so that way suspects are prosecuted in their host country, and then those funds are extracted and returned. And then those suspects are being prosecuted in their particular country. But some of this stuff is legal in other countries. They don't have laws written for it. So that's why I find a lot of my cases going to India, Somalia. I've had one in the Philippines. Nigeria is a very, very big one. The case study I'll briefly go through, it was all out of Nigeria. But they do have laws, but sometimes their laws, it's up or down. Like, it could be more severe than ours or less severe, or they may not have laws on the books. It all really depends. Now, as far as extraditing, there's surprisingly not as much as I would like as far as the United States having extradition treaties with. That's when I talk about kind of how I can work a crypto case, I'm going to touch on that. So these are the crypto ATMs. This is typically what they look like, right? Bitcoin, Bitstop, right? You'll find them in convenience stores. You'll find them in gas stations. You'll find them in Walmart, HEB. You'll kind of find them everywhere. And a lot of times you'll find them next to ATMs and things of that nature. But this is a lot of times what they look like. Here in Waco, as a matter of fact, bam, there they all are. Yeah. All right. These are all, now this is just Waco. Right? If you go up to, Belmead's going to have some, right? Lacey Lakeview up here is going to have more. Hewitt, Woodway, they're going to have some. They kind of go everywhere. And like I said, Bitcoin is not an illegal thing. It's just perpetrators are taking advantage of it. Taking advantage of the people that don't know anything about cryptocurrency. Yeah, those are all the ones that are in Waco. All right, if you are a victim of a scam, or if you recognize a scam, every single case that I have come across, it could have been prevented if they just stopped and called someone else. Okay. Family members, when I touched on Generation X and baby boomers, if they would have just called their kids, called their grandkids, it would have been stopped immediately. Calling law enforcement. If you're at a Bitcoin ATM with a handful of cash, I don't care if you call 911. Call 911. Right? You're not going to get in trouble for that. Okay. Obviously, call the bank. Don't go to Google and immediately just call the first number that you find, because those numbers are also being spoofed and being connected to scammers. Okay. So if you just going to the bank, a banker could tell you, like, yes, this is a scam. And if a lot of times there's a lot of victims that are too embarrassed to come forward, the banks, in the event that something happens and they think that there may be a scam involved, they notify Adult Protective Services. Adult Protective Services sends that report to us. That way we can investigate. So don't be surprised if you find a sheriff's office or Waco PD or another investigative agency going to your doorstep talking about a scam, because it's the bank that reported it, and it's only for their protection, because there are a lot of victims out there that they've been out over $100,000 and they're too embarrassed to come forward. All right, if somebody remotes into your computer, unplug your router, disconnect from the network. All right, so if you're on Wi-Fi, disconnect from the Wi-Fi. that cuts it, right? Your computer's communication to the outside world is your internet. So if you just disconnect from the internet, it stops it, okay? I would flat out unplug the router, okay? If your computer's still on, leave it on. If your computer's off, leave it off. All right, and then notify your local agency, right? Also talk to a trusted IT specialist, right? They will give you more tips and tricks to kind of safeguard your computer until you can get it to law enforcement, if that's an avenue that law enforcement can make ground with. All right, if they do remote your computer, no matter what, contact your bank, make sure all your banking accounts are secure. All right, there's a lot of people that do online banking through their computers, and if they remote it into your computer, there's no telling how fast they can access your cookies and see what banks you bank with. Okay, especially if you have like safe passwords. I know there's some browsers that I have safe passwords on. The moment they remote into your computer, see your cookies, see your caches, see your passwords, you got to be quick.
But still leave it on.
Yes, still leave the computer on, but as long as it's disconnected from the network, disconnected from the internet, and leave it on, right? Because there's, say what?
What if you don't have the option to turn off the internet router? Because we had this issue at work where someone remote engineered, well, it says they're Microsoft and they call them when they remote in. We've just told people to turn off the computer because not all the time you can't just do that. You know, turn off the internet for the whole building. Everything.
Well, the kicker with that, because that is a huge intrusion. If somebody outside of your network remotes into your computer and started doing fraudulent activity, IT department should be locking down your network, should be disconnecting everything from the internet until they can investigate that intrusion.
But if you're a very small organization.
I'm the IT guy. In the building.
And that's,
Yeah.
yeah, by default, she
Basically.
is our IT person, and she knows a lot, but she's not always there.
Mhm.
You know, and then everybody
At-
else is like, oh.
At that point, it's like you should have some continuity, right? Where there should be a good alternative for you in the event that you're not in the office, right? I can tell you this, if there is a serious corporate trend or intrusion in your computer network, that could be top priority for you. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in a different state, you're figuring it out, because there is so much information that your company may hold. I mean, they're only doing it to get socials, to get birthdays, and do all that. Like, get small stuff. And you guys having that information, that has to be top priority. You need to shut it down from the network. And at that point, like when you have a nonprofit organization, that's when federal agencies are really going to start getting interested, because you being a nonprofit, having access to a large number of information, that's something that you need to call law enforcement. Like, you can even call me if that happens, because I have all the contact with Secret Service and the FBI like at my fingertips.
And I know for us, ours usually happens when they click on a fake Amazon. So they're going to Amazon and they click on the sponsored link, which is not Amazon, and that's usually what starts to pop up. Most of the time they don't get promoted in. When the pop-ups start, that's when they'll get a strong computer.
Yeah.
It's only happened to 2 specific people I know of.
Yeah, but if
But
if
there's
your
no-
network, if your computer, if your business computer is at all intruded, like it's, because you don't know how infected, you don't know how much it's spread. Yeah, because they can even go through somebody else's computer, and like so, and then you don't know where the infection started. So that's when you have to.
But they're pretty expensive.
So even if it's just Chroma and not that somebody you knew had remote ignorance, you could still say just unplug the router.
Yeah, because I'm not sure. Are you guys connected through Wi-Fi and
Mostly Wi-Fi.
mostly Wi-Fi? Okay, so literally put it in airplane mode. I think every computer in the past 5 years has got airplane mode in it, even desktops. So at least start with that. But yeah, when you have a significant intrusion, it's time to hey, we need to cut off our little business from the world, and we need to figure this out. We don't know how much information has been leaked. Because even people that have like your old archives, like people that have been, deceased for 15, 20 years. All their information is still important because it's being used for criminal activity if it leaks. So you'll find an old social, and you're like, well, shoot, this person's been deceased for 20 years, right? Oh, and here we go. If you find yourself at an ATM with a handful of money, you need to stop. You need to stop. I can tell you that the store clerks, they have so many people going in and out, going to ATMs and things of this nature, right, that they may not catch, an elderly person going to the Bitcoin ATM. Like me, I know in my head, like if I see an elderly person going to a Bitcoin ATM, like to me that's an automatic, like there's something that may be going wrong. Right, but clerks, store clerks, people at HEB, they may not notice because they see people all the time. And just call somebody, please, just call somebody. If you need someone to call, you have the sheriff's office, you have Waco PD, right? Here's our address, right? 901 Washington. It's 4 blocks down from the courthouse. You got Waco PD, they're up there at 3115 Pine Avenue, that's there in North Waco. You can't miss them. They have a huge tower. It's probably the tallest building in North Waco. All right, you got our phone numbers, right? You got my office, you got the sheriff's office phone number, which is 254-757-5095. That is the office number. It's typically active during normal business hours, but after hours, it does forward straight to dispatch, so you'll at least get a hold of somebody. Same with Waco PD, right? Even if you call Waco PD, but you live in the county, these 2 phone numbers, dispatchers are sitting in 2 desks right next to each other. All right, so you will get a hold of somebody. All right, also if you're a victim of a scam, there's 2 websites I want you to go to. Right, first and foremost is going to be www.ic3.gov. Right, that is an intake for federal agencies. Federal agencies, you can no longer walk into a federal agency and report a crime. Okay. This is how the FBI Secret Service get all their identity theft, fraud cases. This is their intake website. You have to do a report through them. It goes through a vetting process to ensure that, one, it is an offense that can be investigated and it meets certain criteria. And depending on that criteria will depend which federal agency they route it to. If they route it to the FBI or if they route it to Secret Service and things of that nature. Okay. Even if you think there's nothing that's going to come out of it or anything like that, still report it, please, because some of the information that you may have could help another investigation that's currently going on. All right, and also track statistics so that way they can properly allocate resources and funds to where they see upticks in criminal activity. The other one is you go to reportfraud.ftc.gov. That's Federal Trade Commission. Right, that's another agency that tracks statistics when it comes to identity theft and things of that nature. Okay. All right, when you do come down to the sheriff's office or you come to Waco PD or your respective agencies, this is the information we want you to bring. Right, and I don't mean just your name. I mean any names of the suspect used. Phone numbers, email addresses, even if you think it's not important, even if it's a 1-800 number, you bring whatever you have, right? All receipts, emails, text messages, and photographs. That includes screenshots. Those are all valuable material. There may be some stuff in there you may not think is important, but it may be a code, some sort of information that I can recognize and, okay, I know exactly what I need to do with that. Also, all of your banking information. Don't think that I'm going to sit there and sell your information on the internet. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to steal your money. This is so I can subpoena your bank records, right? Because your bank is holding on the information that they don't even release to you, okay? I need to subpoena those records so that way I can see all the information the bank has. So that way I can do follow-up subpoenas or search warrants to other financial institutions to kind of track the money. All right. Also, suspect or IP addresses, right? If you don't know what an IP address is, this is what they typically look like, right? Not those exact digits, obviously, but you will see a series of 4 number segments, and they're split by period. So you see you got 3 digits, split by period, 3 digits, split by period, and so on. All right. Those are traceable for the most part. There are certain techniques and certain avenues that suspects can use to hide their identity through other IP addresses. All right. But a majority of the investigations, I find that IP address to be extremely useful. You could pin it down to pretty much within 5 miles of somebody. So, yes.
This is if somebody has fallen victim.
Yes.
What if you make a report and all this, and then this is a if somebody stops short of exchanging them for losing money, but it was obviously an attempt to be scammed or fraud,
Right.
is there any point in coming forward with that same kind of information if you hadn't actually done it?
Yes, still come forward because there's still some things that we could do with it. There still may be other criminal offenses that are not related to what I refer to as theft, theft by deception. Okay. So all those scams that you saw, a majority of those are going to be theft by deception. They're deceiving you into sending them money, right, on false pretenses, right? But you may be a victim of unlawful possession of identifying information, right? There may be a piece of your information that's protected that they may have, right? And if they're still in the United States, I still may be able to put that person in jail, right? I have 2 priorities in any investigation: is put someone in jail, get money back, right? Those are my 2 priorities. Okay. Either way, I'm going to fight for one of those. If I can't get your money back, I'm going to fight like heck to put someone in jail for it. Right.
So is there a time frame? So I'll just give you an example. And again, I take our intake calls, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes somebody's called and they, they're the presented issue. It could be somebody from ABS, it could be, another agency, it could be a family member. In the course of the conversation, because they're seeking help for this person for another reason, they mentioned and we've uncovered the fact that they have fallen victim to something, but let's say it was months ago. I mean, is there a time frame at which typically it's not helpful anymore?
So this is the biggest thing is when you're a victim of a scam, like money moves quick. These wire transfers happen. Well, they're not wire transfers, but these digital, what we refer to as hops, they happen really quick typically. Right. Typically, once you send that money to a suspect, within minutes, it's being sent to another wallet. Within minutes, being sent to another wallet and another wallet. Now, I track all that, and it's all trackable. You could track it right on the internet, right, and track how the money goes. Now, you have to have some training on figuring out, like, okay, is this change? Is it, because when you send Bitcoin, right, it's kind of like I'm at the grocery store. Right, I'm buying my groceries. Let's say it's $20 for my groceries. I have a $100 bill. No matter what, I have to give you that $100 bill, right? Because that's the only bill I have, right? So I have to give you all of my money, and then he gives me change back, right? That's what I mean by change, right? So no matter what, I have to send all my money to his digital wallet, and and then the computer sends me back whatever amount I didn't want to go to him. So let's, okay, hypothetically speaking, right, you and I, right, I'm going to send you Bitcoin, right? Now I've already converted my money into Bitcoin, however much that is. But let's say I have 1 Bitcoin. I want to send you 0.5 Bitcoin, right? I have to send my whole Bitcoin to you, and the computer will send me back 0.5 Bitcoin. All right, so you get your half a Bitcoin, and then I get mine back. Okay. Oh, excuse me.
At the moment, they have access to the whole wallet.
No, they never have access. No, it's the network that's doing the verifications, right, to make sure that he's getting what he's supposed to get and I'm getting back what I'm supposed to get.
And then I assume it just starts
Oh yeah, and the ledger, and typically every second, there's about 10 to 15 transactions every second. And they range from 10 cents up to, the largest I've seen was $44 million in one transaction. So, speaking, now that we're going to be talking about this digital ledger, let's see. I will show you guys what this digital ledger actually looks like. That's this one right. Right, this is what it looks like. Right, it kind of looks like the stock market. Right, so this is what I go through when I start manually, and you can see how fast, look how fast these transactions are going right here. And look at these numbers. Right, now they're small right now, but there's a 47,000. This is all real time. And part of the reason why why a lot of corporations like doing this is the stock market doesn't close, right? This is going constantly, forever. Yep, just hopping all over the place. Now there are some companies that they'll set up computers to do this, to hop money around. So it's not a person clicking and sending money. A lot of times they'll set up computers with algorithms to disperse money to employees and so on. See, there's a 33,000. See, all these numbers right now are relatively small. And this happens. Mm-hmm. So you can see right now, one Bitcoin is $67,558 per Bitcoin. So it operates a lot like the stock market. Like I said, this is the reason why companies are going to it, just because it operates constantly. So when I get into my investigation and I recognize a digital wallet, so what I'll do is I'll just click on one of these, because you could look at the entire transaction here, right? So this is the transaction hash. So this is like the transaction number right here, right? And here's the two. Oh, that's the hash. Hold on here. So this is what I'm talking about by digital wallets right here, right? See that long character right there? Now you see right here, this transfer happened. They sent all $16.33 to this digital wallet, right? Now there was a fee with it, right? So there was $1.33 fee. So only $15 went to this digital wallet. All right, that's what we call gas money. Gas money is just the fees associated with doing transfers. Right, now we could go to that wallet and you could see all these transactions. These ones have still yet to be verified, right? So they're all still pending outgoing, incoming, and things of that nature. But when I see characters like this, these long Bitcoin addresses, that's like your bank account almost, right? Now they can't put that bank account anywhere and take the money from you, right? They can't find out who you are by just this, right? There's no personal information that they can find with just this. All right. Yes, this is a digital wallet that somebody actually controls. Yes, you can see how much they have in a wallet, because you can see right here. So this person doesn't have anything. This wallet no longer doesn't have any money. All right, but you can see how much this wallet has used, total value of the money that's gone through this wallet in its lifetime, how many transactions it's had. But when I get that digital wallet, right, I'll put it, and you can just copy and paste it straight into here at the top. right where it says search blockchain transactions, addresses, and blocks. So I could take this long character, this long digital ID, put it in here, and it'll take me straight to the screen, right? And then I gotta go down to the day on when the victim sent the transaction, and then kind of track each individual transaction as it hops through the whole thing, right? Now this is manually tracking. It's very, very time consuming. I can tell you that one case, this case that I did right here, I'm not going to go into great detail just because the case hasn't been completely vetted yet, as far as I haven't quite taken out all the victim's information. But long story short, when I did this investigation, I was able to track down the cash out point, right? Which, finding out the exchange where somebody took the money out of crypto and converted it back to the US dollar, right? I found out they used Binance. Binance is a licensed exchange, which means they have the same regulations that every American financial institution has, right? They have to follow all the regulations that the FDIC puts in place. So they have to collect all legitimate personal information, right? So they have to collect driver's licenses, birth certificate, anything you need to open a bank account, Binance has to obtain. So so that's what I did in this case. So I ended up sending Binance. Yeah, Binance is a cash out exchange. No, I don't want to. So Binance is a cash out exchange. So that's when they're able to. Oh, really? There it is. So I send a letter. I literally sent a letter to Binance on the ID on the wallet that I recognized. We're just gonna close that out. When I sent them that letter, I get this response. It was an Excel spreadsheet that's got all the information of the person that controls that wallet. All right, and I get everything, right? So all of his information, I'm gonna click through it really quick just so you guys can't steal his info. Just kidding.
Are there people trying to, how do they know that you're really law enforcement? Are there people trying to?
So there's a picture of him.
Wow.
That's the picture. That's a picture of the suspect, right? Binance requires that you have to send a legitimate photograph, and then how that photograph is sent to Binance, IP address info, all that stuff has to match. So you can't take a picture over here, send it to so-and-so, and then so-and-so send it to Binance. Like Binance secures it a whole lot more to make sure that the person photographed is the person that controls that Bitcoin account. And then access logs, so I get all the IP address info for all the times that he has ever logged in to that account, right? And look right here, it's all Nigeria. All of it's Nigeria. Now me, I still verify, so I take out all these IP addresses and use my own IP tracker to kind of track all these to make sure that this information matches what Binance has given to me. Yeah, once I get to this point, it's one of those things that we hope they're still in the United States. I'll get a warrant for them, and they'll go to jail, and they'll come straight back to Texas. We'll drive anywhere to bring them back here. We'll drive up to Alaska and bring them back here. So if it's a third degree and above, we're bringing you back. So if I find out this is all still in the United States, then yeah, I'm tracking you down. This is what I need. So this is it's a whole nother deal, right? So this is a very important step. Once I find out those IP addresses, depending on what the subscriber is, or not the subscriber, the internet service provider. So I can subpoena the internet service provider to find out who controls that IP address. If it's connected to a Wi-Fi, I will find out exactly who pays the Wi-Fi bill. And there's a what? Yes, which I see very, very commonly. That's what criminals a lot of times are using to, because there's a lot of stuff that criminals need to try to victimize U.S. citizens, and they can't do it from sometimes an out-of-country IP address. So like sometimes they'll VPN into the United States, that way they can access certain things that you can only access in the United States. I also know that there's some prison scams where they will use a VPN, so that way the IP address doesn't come back to the prison. I see a lot of that coming out of Georgia. There's a lot of Georgia prisons where there's some scams coming out. I have a couple cases on my desk where there's scams out of Georgia prisons. Yeah, this will give me a very important cookie crumb to go down that trail to find out if I can connect them back to the United States. Now, this gentleman, I've connected him to Nigeria. He's going to be in Nigeria. Nigeria, I do not believe we have an extradition treaty with. This particular case, this one was kind of like a roundabout case. This one turned to crypto when I never thought it would. Kind of getting back to, there's a lot of fraud cases I work that come full circle and go back into crypto again. There's a gentleman actually in Bruceville that was a victim of wire fraud, and in that wire fraud case, there was about $2,500 sent to a bank in Nebraska. So I sent a subpoena to Nebraska. They give me all the information. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I have an ID. Okay, this is a pretty good person of interest now, right? Because they accepted $2,500. So I find that person. I locate them in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. I'm like, okay. So I call her, I interview her. Took me a little while to get a hold of her. I had to call her local agency for them to go over to her house. Through talking to her, I found out she was a victim of a romance scam where her identifying information was captured by the suspect. Her Cash App account was taken by the suspect, because that's how the money was transferred from, because it was transferred out of the Nebraska account through Cash App. And I found out it was her Cash App. I was like, okay. So I started digging through her Cash App. I noticed that the money went into Cash App, but it never left Cash App, at least as U.S. currency. The Cash App also does Bitcoin. And looking at the Bitcoin history, I found out that it left her Cash App and went to Portugal. And then this one, it led later to Nigeria. Yeah. Well, she fell victim to an identity theft scam she fell victim to identity theft through a romance scam. She didn't even notice in her Cash App, because by the time it was sent to her Cash App and converted to Bitcoin, she didn't even see it. So, but
So, okay, I'm like, really good about this. So, like, was the person that started this romance scam part of this whole other crypto thing? Like, or was that just a vehicle to
so that no. So
like, nobody's following?
no. So typically, what I see is there's the suspects of her romance scam are very much likely the suspects that are in control of this whole thing, right? So this whole criminal episode that my victim was a victim of, and her, it was the same suspect. They just went through her to access his to get money from him. And a lot of times it's not a targeted attack. It's not like I'm personally targeting, this elderly gentleman in Bruceville, right? It's all random. Whatever information they could get a hold of the fastest is what they go with. So this particular elderly, he's very click happy. And I could see it just from talking to him, because I told him, I was like, hey, let me come down to your house. I'll look at all your bank statements. I'll look at all your banking stuff and kind of analyze everything. And he does so many transfers, because I'm seeing him like work through his banking and flipping to, IRA accounts, to his personal checking, his savings. He's clicking all over the place. And I'm like, I could see him very likely being victim of a scam, because, it's very easy for him to click, just move the mouse a little too over to the right, and now you click on an ad that's really a scam. But that's what allowed them to access his banking information and do a wire transfer. But like I said, he's also a person that wasn't as spun up in computers as what I see some people. So just making those extra clicks, or not being, completely sure on what you're clicking on. Sometimes you may click on something you don't mean to, and now you're a victim of a scam. Does anybody have any questions? Because I think that pretty much finishes it up. My email, go ahead.
So, I loaded up before you came. Okay, so if I actually saw somebody put on Facebook, like they were announcing that they were now, a certified crypto trader, or certified crypto expert.
Okay.
I don't remember what. So does that add any extra validity to anything, or not really, or what?
As far, excuse me.
Yourself to some water.
So, just like investing in anything, just be wary on where you're getting your information from. If somebody is sending you an ad to invest in crypto, I don't think is a wise decision to explore that. I think if you legitimately want to invest in crypto, or anything for that matter, is talking to a legitimate financial advisor, or maybe even going through a financial advisor saying, hey, I'd like to invest in crypto. You may not be a broker of that or an expert at that, but is there anybody you would suggest I go to? And then go that route. But I wouldn't do Facebook ads, nothing like that. Any advertisements, I typically don't even explore.
So, cryptocurrency is a very, it can be a very safe way to invest if you're gonna, like, if you're playing the stock market
Yes.
and you're watching it go up and down and everything, but you're not necessarily like trading or pulling it out to make a purchase or something like that, right? If you're
There are some commercial businesses that do accept cryptocurrency, and it's literally walking up and tapping your phone on, whatever system that particular company has. Go ahead, sir.
Sorry, I visited Highland Baptist Church the other day,
Mhm.
and they accept crypto for their tithes.
Really?
Felt that way.
Do they
Yeah,
really?
and this is something I was going to bring up. So there's here within the next couple years, just because current events suggest that there may potentially be another stock market in Dallas that will be going online, and there's a lot of people speculating that cryptocurrency is going to skyrocket just because of how accommodating the Texas Stock Exchange is going to be. And how they're going to accommodate cryptocurrency, which means that exchange can operate 24/7. You don't have a bell for opening and closing of the exchange. You're going to have a stock market that's always going. So we're going to see a huge uptick in cryptocurrency, and not just cryptocurrency, that's all commercial business. Because once that exchange opens up, there's going to be other benefits that Texas provides that businesses are going to want to explore. So there's going to be a lot of business coming to Texas if that exchange is legitimate and goes online. So it's never going away. We just have to educate ourselves and be smart about the investments that we take and what we click on and who we talk to. And if you feel like you're talking to someone suspicious, call somebody, call a family member, call somebody at your church, right? Call somebody. Me, I would call somebody of a younger generation than me that's a little bit more up to date with technology.
Me, I'm calling you.
So,
So,
My-
so I also heard some things about the gold and silver exchange and about beginning to do away with our paper system and our debit and credit cards and going back to gold and silver. So is this basically like digitally gold?
It is. I mean, it is essentially, really, if you think about it in a physical aspect. There are companies. So there is something called Bitcoin mining, right? So these networks that verify transactions, right? They, based on how many transactions they do, would depend on how much Bitcoin they get, right? So if they verify 20,000 exchange or 20,000 transactions, right, they could get 1 Bitcoin, right? Now, mind you, I will never probably see a mining computer because it will probably be way more than this room, and the amount of power that it requires to keep those things, to keep them cooled, to keep the building cool. It takes a lot of computer memory to be able to verify that many transactions to make a serious profit. So like even in my garage, like I wouldn't be able to get a mining computer in my garage and for it to even be worth trying to mine, right? Because I'll spend 30 grand on a computer in my garage and I'm not even going to, I may make $100 worth of Bitcoin a day. But it's going to take me, I'll probably end up running a $3,000 phone bill trying to keep that type of computer online for any serious profit. But yeah, it's going to be the large mining companies that are going to make a profit with it. And then, we'll still be able to exchange coins and things like, just like if I was going to give you a couple gold pieces. Well, I don't know I know getting away from I've heard rumors of us getting away from paper currency and going back to a gold and silver standard, but I haven't heard any progress.
Do you feel that PayPal is a trusted site to use for some of these transfers and stuff? Because I know it's a bigger one, but some people hate PayPal.
Once again, it depends on what you click on, because I've seen some PayPal sites that were fraudulent, right? There were spoofed PayPal sites. You just really have to be kind of wary. Like I don't use PayPal ever. I did get into Bitcoin on Cash App. Cash App is relatively secure as long as you keep your login information safe. And don't let anybody else use any of your, just like your bank account, don't let anybody else use it, just you use it. But I know, like my wife, she does a lot of stuff on PayPal. We've only come across like one issue, but it was very minute, it was very small. So I don't see an issue using PayPal, but you just have to be smart on what you click on.
What would you say is the demographic here in the local area of victims? Like elderly, Hispanics?
Every case that I have worked crypto-wise, they've all been over the age of 65. Almost all of them. There's been one or two that have been kind of younger that fell for like the crypto investments, but they were kind of smart about it. They're just like, hey, I'll just invest $100 just to see how it goes. And then when they were trying to cash out, they were told like, hey, you got $8,000. They were told like, hey, you need to send us $1,600 to cash out. And he's like, okay, now this is a scam. But he's out $100. There was another gentleman fell victim to a government impersonation scam, and he sent just under $5,000. But that could have easily been prevented if you just called the sheriff's office. Call the sheriff's office first. Everybody else, they've been over 65. Anywhere between 65 and I think the oldest I've seen is 78. And there's,
That kind of goes back to what we talked about in the first session. There's a lot of people that don't report it.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
since we started this, 2 people, I mean, we're a small office, 2
Right.
people have had something that they didn't report it, you know?
Yeah, and that's why, and so, you know, one thing I was kind of wondering too was like that, like a time frame. Like, is it still valuable perhaps? You know, and again, so we're talking kind of like trends and stuff like that, because I know things change, and like you're saying, you know, the different groups maybe, you know, like I think somebody had told me there was like a group of Romanians that was going from like city to city with the card reader scam like thing.
Yeah,
and stuff
card
like that, right? So
skimmers.
they're moving around, but you know, they had identified them as that. Well, so because things change and they change and you know all like that, like is it still valuable information for you to have even if a time frame has expired since the actual incident?
oh yeah, so with me, my biggest thing is the statute of limitations, right? So I have when it comes to a felony, we have a pretty extensive timeline on how long we have to really investigate it. Now, yes, the money may be gone.
Right.
Very unfortunate that the
Right.
money may be gone. But I still may have the opportunity to at least put that person in jail.
Because chances are they're still operating in
Yeah.
this thing, right?
And it's so I've had one case. There was a victim that she was out $45,000. Going through the investigation, I'm like, okay, I've started getting some information back from subpoenas. It was a wire fraud. It was a wire fraud case. It wasn't Bitcoin or crypto for that matter. It was wire transfer fraud. I ended up connecting it to an account, and it opened up to a much larger scheme. So even if it's $500, if I find out that it's connected to a larger scheme where now we're talking this person has laundered $500,000 in 4 months,
Right.
now we're talking business. The information you provide may be needed. That may be the one little puzzle piece that the Secret Service, the FBI are looking at like, oh, whoa, wait a second. Click, and now they see the full picture.
Even if a time frame has passed.
Yeah, even if the time frame is passed. I can tell you for criminal investigation, like I said, the time frame is quite open. Typically anything, and this is all in the state statute, right? Anything that's a misdemeanor, we got 2 years, right? When you start getting to felonies, now you're looking at 5, 7, 10, 15 years. When you start getting to violent cases, now you're talking like it doesn't matter what time it gets reported.
Right.
It's important to come forward with whatever information because it may be the puzzle piece that another agency is looking for. That $45,000 case right now, I sent to the Secret Service, and now the Secret Service in Miami is investigating it.
Oh, wow.
Because I actually put a suspect on the ground in Miami. So any little piece of information
So
helps.
don't think it's too small or too
Yeah, there's
old or-
nothing, nothing too small and there's nothing too old.
Okay. And then that goes back to because another personal thing was I had almost fallen victim to a job recruitment scam before I came to Friends for Life. And so, where they're like, you have to download Chatworks, and they were offering me, right, a job and all this stuff. And we had exchanged some information. They knew my bank name, but I had not given them any specific account information or socials or anything like that. So again, information might be vague. I mean, I still have actually some of that contact information and that kind of thing, but we never got that far, because then I was like, I'd really like to talk to a real person in a conversation before we go any further, and that's when then it was just crickets. I never heard back. Well, before that, it was like, they were pretty regular. It was like, oh, great, we'll do this and we'll do that, and this is the next step, and all this equipment, we're gonna send you all this stuff, right? So that is, I would think, too vague for you to be able to do anything with.
Well, and typically what I see in like those, right, and I see them in crypto cases and in any other fraud case, is that's a way that scammers and criminals are recruiting cash mules or money mules. So what they'll have you guys do is, they'll send you the money will come to you saying, hey, expect this money to hit your account. I want you to take that money. I want you to convert it to US dollars, so withdraw it in cash, put it in pages of a book, and then ship that book to here, right? Because the USPS, FedEx, and all that, you're not allowed to ship physical currency. Right, so they'll have you hide currency in books and then ship it overseas, and that's how cash leaves the country. So although victims may,
That would be a red flag.
yeah, well, it's not, and it's not a, it's not a red flag for some people. I know there was a money mule in one of my cases here in Waco recently, where, I have a victim that's out a substantial amount of money. And a quarter of that he gave to a gentleman that was just cash taped in a box, and physically gave it to somebody. And that was a cash mule, right? So he was going to take that and then send that cash somewhere else. But so with him, they remoted into his computer, and that gave the suspect access to not just his account, his mom's account, where she has way more money. Like this victim is out, he's out well over $150,000. And then his mom's account has got the whole family estate attached onto it. Now, I know I probably didn't get the full story. I think there's a embarrassing element to that he didn't come forward with, as far as, him being told like, hey, there's child porn on your computer, like, hey, we know you've been looking at this, if you don't do this, we're gonna put it out there on the internet, we're gonna put it on your Facebook, and that scares people. And for a lot of people, that type of stuff, even if you're looking at stuff that's completely legal, it's still embarrassing. And they don't want that stuff being out on the internet, so they'll use that as a piece of bait to get you on the hook and send money. Like I said, he did quite a few wire transfers and sent some hard cash with a money mule. And I had thus far there's been no progress. So that's how a lot of suspects are recruiting money mules, is through these work from home. They'll give you instructions on how to go and buy actual check paper to do washed checks and send washed checks to people to try to get money. And there's some people out there that think that it's a legitimate job and they're doing it legally, when, yeah, very much not.
Does anybody else have, because I think we're right about 7 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, so.
Go ahead, sir. Yes.
And what is the most common type of scam that you see with crypto?
Involving crypto, most of the time it's going to be ransomware, tech support. I don't see as much, and even now it's evolving. Like even in the year, or even in less than a year, the whole wire transfer fraud, now they're using different avenues to get around wire transfer fraud. And that's by having them send physical cash through a regular bank ATM to a debit card, which goes to the suspect's account. And that gets away from some aspects of fraud.
This is not super related to crypto, but scam. I almost fell for one of those recently. I am Hispanic, and we Hispanics use WhatsApp a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My pastor sent me a WhatsApp saying, hey, I need to give money to this person, but my cash app is not working. Can you send me some money on behalf of my CV or your cash?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, sure. It was like $50 or $100. And I was about to do it, but I see that the profile of the person on Cash App
Mm-hmm.
is like this woman with like these nails and
Mm-hmm.
lots of cleavage. And I was thinking, why is my pastor wanting to send money
Mm-hmm.
to this woman? And I actually tried sending it because, you know, the message was from his WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
And my bank was not letting me. And then, you know, I told him it's not working. Do you have another user that I can send it to? And I also started noticing that the language that he was using was not that normal language that I
Was-
like,
Mhm.
you know, I was not recognizing. So that's when it raised the red flag.
Mm-hmm.
And then I texted his wife, and she said, "Oh, are you getting messages asking you to send money? Please don't. It's a scam somehow." And I know that the way they do it is they usually send you a message saying, "Hey, I'm going to send you a code. Can you send me back that code?" And I've gotten it when I sell something on Facebook Marketplace, for example. Somebody says, "I'm interested in buying that thing that you're selling, but first I need to send you a code
Mm-hmm.
because I need to make sure that you're real."
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, it's a code in order to log into my WhatsApp
Mhm.
or into my, my Facebook.
Mhm.
I didn't
account.
know
Yeah,
that.
it's just tactics for them to kind of muddy the water and not kind of reveal their entire identity.
So is that something, because I don't use Cash App
Mm-hmm.
or whatever you said the other thing was.
WhatsApp, yeah, WhatsApp. Mhm.
I don't, and so I don't know enough about those things. So is that something that is traceable for you? I mean, can
WhatsApp
you?
is traceable in that particular case, right? You know, the moment I subpoena WhatsApp for your for that other person's account, I'll be able to track IP addresses and see what IP address is logged into his particular account to see if his account is maybe compromised. Or that will also confirm if, like, maybe that's a spoof account, somebody else that made an account with his name and picture. Because that's a lot of times what you see on Facebook is because you could essentially take anybody's picture off of Facebook and put it on your own Facebook. Like, it's very easy to spoof stuff on Facebook. So that doing that subpoena to WhatsApp, I'll be able to see if it's a legitimate WhatsApp that has been compromised or a WhatsApp account that's been spoofed, that somebody made a fake one using your, I don't know if it was a friend of yours or using his name and some identifiers to kind of hide the suspect's true identity. But all the IP address stuff, I'll be able to see. Even if it is a VPN, there are some VPN providers that still capture the true IP address that access that VPN, so it's still kind of traceable, but it's an extra step.
So if it came from your pastor and you thought it was legitimate, and then eventually you asked the pastor's wife, and she's like, "Oh yeah, everybody's good." So they did send it to a lot of people using his identification, making them think it was the pastor asking. So there might be somebody that actually did respond, maybe if the bank didn't catch it, and maybe did lose some money. So
And I've been told by my bank that once you send money on Venmo or Cash App, they don't, like, you're not covered.
Yeah.
They will not try to
'Cause that's a-
cover it for you.
that is a consensual transaction. It's just like me walking up and giving cash to you, right? It's completely up to you to give the cash back, right? Venmo is just like, no, you gave the cash to him. That's between y'all. Like, it's not involved with us. We're just a service provider. And even some financial institutions, when you do a fraud claim, if you physically took cash out of your bank account and then deposited into an ATM, not a Bitcoin ATM, just a regular bank ATM, and you put it onto somebody else's debit card and it went to the suspect, the bank will still deny your claim because you consensually took that money to the ATM and put it in there.
Would that be the same as a debit card over the phone? Would that also
Yes,
be
because you
considered
gave
consensual?
the
And then if they
information.
used it then, because then
Yeah,
they
if
got
they-
it,
Yeah, if I send you money from my debit card, right, a lot of banks won't reverse the charge. If I give you my debit card information and you go and use it, there are, depending on the fashion in which I gave you the debit card, right? Because like my wife, I could give her my debit card, she can go use it wherever. You know, because I allowed her to use a debit card, allow her to use the bank account. Same with my kids, I can give them a debit card saying, hey, you can go use it. But if a suspect, let's just say, put it that instance, right? If the suspect steals your debit card information and goes and uses it, that's different. The bank could reverse that charge, which a lot of banks I've seen do, and credit
Okay.
card companies for sure. So like those credit card skimmers, right? Your information was legitimately stolen, so the bank more than likely is going to reimburse it because you didn't do anything to to give your debit card information to a suspect willingly.
right. But if you paid, this is another real life situation. If you paid for a service, but then that person used it to make additional withdrawals from your account, they didn't have my consent to do that.
Right.
Just paying for the one service and used credit card over the phone. That maybe
Yeah,
could
that
be.
that
They
may
wouldn't
be
consider that consensual.
right. But I have seen banks do normal reimbursements and those type, but it's more on a case by case basis.
Yeah.
But I have seen banks reimburse in those types of instances.
But in his thing, it may be still though worth investigating.
Yes.
The Cash App, your WhatsApp and Cash
WhatsApp,
App, your information, to give him your information, and you could start to investigate and see, and may find somebody that actually did, where a transaction did go through, right? So, well, and I think, like I said in the beginning, it's like, we've all heard of somebody or have it happen to ourselves where either we have been or almost, have fallen victim to some type of scam or fraud, and,
Yeah, I got a text message last week of somebody trying to get information from me, and I'm like, no, I know your game,
yeah,
and don't call or talk to me anymore.
yeah.
So.
And is that the best response, you think?
Oh yeah, as far as
it's
when
like,
you're getting those
yeah.
phishing text messages
Yeah.
and things of that nature, most of the time I just block them.
Yeah.
I don't even feed into it. There was one particular one where like last week where I did, because I get a lot of text messages and phone calls from people outside the state, because I have banks that call me from all over the place. I have special agents that call me from everywhere. So I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
And then I find out more information. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is definitely a scam.
Yeah.
And then I'll typically tell them, hey, don't call or text me anymore. Then I immediately block the number. I probably have over 1,000 numbers on my phone that I've blocked.
That are blocked.
Yeah.
So, well, earlier you gave us great segue actually into the next class, but I do have some other flyers that I haven't passed out yet. This one is how to spot a crypto scam, so I want to make sure you guys have that too. And the other is about investment scams, which crypto is investment. So make sure you guys get that as well. When you talked about how easy it is to spoof somebody's picture and create a fake Facebook and stuff like that, we're actually going to get to see that happen in real time. When Sergeant McAllister comes from Waco PD, he's going to talk to us about cybersecurity. So a little similar, but different. And we have a plan. He is going to actually have me give him a call. We did an interview together for one of our local TV stations about scam and fraud. And so he teasingly said, I've got your voice, and I've got your picture from that interview. And so he's going to show how easily it is that when I call him and he's got my number, how he can actually create something pretty quickly, and I guess a fake conversation and stuff. So that is going to be like, y'all are scaring me almost if I didn't, because you know so much about all of this. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you right at home